Hello my loves, I'm Ellie Frost. Thank you so much for being on my channel where we are talking about the multi-dimensional approach to rapidly and radically healing and transforming during and after narcissistic abuse. And I want to talk today about healing from narcissistic abuse, right? And I want you to understand it in a new way, because what really concerns me, right, about my own healing journey and seeing what people tend to do and how they get stuck in this constant life of healing, not saying that as we evolve through life there won't constantly be healing to do, because there'll be new triggers and new ways in which we've got to navigate life and things that can get to us, right? But healing is kind of like a skill, actually. I teach people how to heal and to be on a journey where they can self-heal as they go, which is natural in life, right? We've got an overemphasis on the mind, that we're trying to analyze things, and we think that if we understand something enough, that it will heal us. And it's an addiction in itself, right? If I understand the narcissist, where do they come from? How do they get this way? Why do they behave this way? That we'll have an aha moment. Other than understanding that something's bad for you, the more you go into that, the less you're actually likely to heal. In fact, some of it can be very disturbing when you really understand how it works. I'm happy to share it. I do share things here because there's a balance of this. It's all balance, right? There's a balance of being aware of what's going on with them so that you can accept it. And that's the biggest reason why you want to know about it, is so that I can accept that this can't change. This is how someone is. It is very hard to accept, but it is real, right? There's a balance between that and staying obsessed with them, right? Which is part of what they kind of catch you in. So in order to heal, we've got to, I call it become sovereign. We've got to become true to ourselves. And we've got to know that one, trauma can't be healed on the level of the mind. It's way quicker often to heal than you think, right? You may, as you go on your journey, get re-triggered, or trauma can come up again, but you can learn how to understand it and process it quicker the more you get better at it, right? So when we're just dealing with the level of the mind, when we're just letting the mind run the show, what we're actually not acknowledging is the problem is the mind's gone on to overload in the narcissistic abuse cycle. You've been gaslit, you've been pushed into rumination, overthinking, over-analysing, over-intellectualising, and the mind's trying to make sense of so many things that it can't actually put together. How is this person my lover, my father, my partner, whatever, and the abuser? The mind is in all these conflicting ideas when the body just needs to process the emotion of what's happened and then reconcile with itself. Now, your mind, right, is part of like your toolkit. Like my hand helps me pick up my coffee, right? So my hand is like part of who I am, and it helps me function. It helps me do things. But a lot of us haven't been taught how to use our mind. So when I teach people manifestation and actually how you can rewire your mind in order and actually work with it to help you create belief systems, structures that actually support the life you want to create, then we're using the mind correctly. But when the mind's on overdrive, the mind starts running the show. This is an issue. You're beyond the mind. In fact, you have a soul, you have a spirit, you have an essence. If you go in complete conflict with your values, with who you are at core, what you believe in, your core essence, your core spirit, your core soul, you're going to live in a constant battle with yourself, right? Trying to use the mind to override your emotions, trying to use the mind to push through, trying to use the mind to think your way into being able to deal with a situation that isn't good for you. This is incorrect use of the mind. The mind is like a data system. The mind learns that, like, if I put my hand on the cooker, it's hot. My mind helps me remember how to drive my car, so I haven't got to go through all the motions and processes. But the mind is not your guidance system in life. Your kind of heart is, your spirit is, your soul is. So when we're using the mind to make decisions, it only knows the past, right? And it's not really useful as a guidance system. Mostly the mind's going to try and avoid pain. It will do more to avoid pain than it will do to go towards pleasure. And the mind gets very fixed in its own idea of your limitations. It makes very strong assumptions about how things work just based on what's in front of you. So we've got to come into ourselves beyond our mind, into our heart, into our spirit, into our soul, into our true inner knowing. It's not just silencing the mind, it's understanding how to make your mind work for you, and that when we're over intellectualizing things, we're kind of feeding into malfunction of the mind. It's not meant to be used to overanalyze, it's meant to be programmed to help you progress, literally. So understanding how to come into our awareness beyond our mind really helps. Being kind of aware that we've got an energy body, an emotional body, and a mental body, and a spiritual body, and all of these need to be dealt with. So many of us have been taught just to push through these cycles, or what we should do because someone is a parent or a caregiver or someone or it's our job, or we've been taught that we have to make things work at all costs because of a role someone plays in our life, rather than understand how to take care of our own emotional, mental and energetic health. And it's about time that we start prioritizing those things. It does not mean you have to feel anger or resentment or anything, but being willing to deal with situations differently so that you're not enmeshed in narcissistic abuse cycles, for one, and also in situations that are literally degenerating you. Because when you go against yourself, your soul, your spirit, your essence, what you know inside, right? Ultimately, your mind starts, malfunctioning. Your body your emotions will get affected. You might suffer from depression, you might suffer from mood swings, you're going to suffer from things that people are calling mental illness, but I'm not so sure that a lot of those people are mentally ill. I think they're having a pretty appropriate response to environments the human being can't operate well in, right? If you're under oppression, if your reality is constantly if you're being gaslit, for example, your reality, you're constantly being invalidated in your reality, your self-esteem is being eroded, your sense of self, your identity is being completely distorted. And then is depression not a very natural response to it? Is despair natural? Is shame natural? Is guilt natural? I think all of those are natural. Would it create behavioural imbalances in a lot of people that could be now they're kind of mentally ill? Sure, but we have to understand that our regulation of our spiritual, mental, emotional and energetic bodies is everything to us. If you have one of those areas chronically imbalanced, guess what? It affects all the other fields that you have. So if I ignore my emotions and the messages of them over and over again, of course you manifest disease in the body. It is statistics that if you go through certain things over and over again, there are very predictable illnesses that you'll manifest. Autoimmune diseases, food sensitivities, fibromyalgia is a common one. Like all sorts of things from these cycles that are so statistically, common. So we might have some concepts, some programs in the mind that are not serving us and are actually making us ignore all elements of ourselves. And if you do that, of course you're going to get mentally ill. Of course you're going to get physically ill. Of course you're going to get spiritually sick and emotionally ill. It's not good for you, right? You get to be able to disengage your energy, yeah? Minimize the impact a narcissist or anyone has on you. But we've got to be sovereign in knowing our own selves, not making it wrong, and understanding that that's the key to keeping these things in balance. Because if you're out of balance, your system's not going to work. The narcissist distorts your mental faculties, really. You're not thinking straight. In another situation, if a person treated you that way, you wouldn't want to keep going back. They know how to imbalance you. So we've got to bring the balance back and understand that, like, it's our internal sovereignty, it's our internal balance with self and soul that we have to come into to get balanced in life. Then you can get energetically strong and actually minimize the impact these people have on you, right? Stop trying to fix them, stop trying to make it work. And for goodness sake, if you're spending your life learning all about them, I promise you, you're in mental overload. Come into Sovereign. I'm opening the doors right now for the next round. We're going to do a warm-up where I give you energetic tools and exercises that you will be using throughout the course. And then I'm going to launch the modules, not next week, the week after. But if you can get in now for the pre-work, that's the thing to do, because you'll start breaking it. I don't tell you in my course you have to leave the narcissist. I teach you how to regulate your energy. I teach you how to become energetically strong. I teach you how to drop into yourself and break the cycle, so it won't be the trauma bond that's so strong anyway in making you go back, but you'll be conscious of your choices and supported along the journey of it. It's not about whether you leave or not that defines you. It's about how you learn how to be healthy and balanced in your mental body, your energetic body, your emotional body, and in alignment with your soul. Guess what? Your spirit, your soul is the guidance system that's going to kind of lead you towards your best life. But if you're in disconnection from it, you're not going to see any potential or possibilities or anything other than a fixed reality that you're kind of stuck in, because you're not using the fullness of you. You're not coming into connection with yourself first and then being able to create and expand into a much better life, right? So it's not, it's not just about leaving a narcissist, but many people, they do that and they're still bound and they're still hurt and they're still not healed for a long time. So we've got to learn more than just how do you exit. We've got to learn how you take your energy back, how you come into sovereignty, how you align with yourself, how you manage these different parts of yourself, what the mind's used for and what it's not. But at the moment, the thinking of, I need to know more about narcissists in order to break free. I promise you, many people spend years doing that and they don't break free whatsoever. You already know in the dynamic, the abuse isn't good for you. You're already confused with it. Learning that they do it, learning their patterns can be helpful. I do teach you about that and I'm happy to talk about it. But what I'm saying is, that's not what's going to set you free. Yeah? And in fact, sometimes learning about it, and then it can make you feel even more depressed as you get more aware of what's really happened to you. This is proven in children. Many children black out child abuse, and then later, when they start realizing what happened to them, they go through a huge depression because now they realize how bad it was. They didn't know how bad it was before. So we've got to be very mindful of how we heal, because some of what I'm seeing is not taking people forwards, it's actually taking them backwards, and that's not our goal, right? So please join Sovereign, the link's in the description. I've also got Live Fully Now, which is about a plug-in. I'm going to give you themes every week to start staying plugged in, to rebuilding your life and committing to living fully now, step by step. Your life isn't going to necessarily change overnight, right? The hardest part of this journey is when we're not so triggered that we've left because we've had enough. It's in the in-between parts of life where we're rebuilding, where we're learning how to honor ourselves, make better choices, and actually deal with our emotions when things don't seem to be radically changing. And we're having to deal with, like, who are we now? And how do we create meaningful relationships and things that really bring us joy, right? There's an in-between stage every time we leave and rebuild. That's what Live Fully Now is about. Having that plug-in to stay on track, yeah? Because so often we get fired up, we make a decision, and then we go back because we haven't learned how to fill it with goodness yet, right? And sometimes there is a bit of a waiting game. Sometimes there is a part where we're having to take it step by step. But I promise you that, like, when you honor the things I'm talking about and come into balance with self and soul, then your life can open up in completely different ways, in much better ways. Lots of love, guys. I'll speak to you soon.